Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the cost of inaction this holiday season and how you can transform your Christmas utilizing the Giver method. Now this video is going to be packed full of tons of high-valued principles and content around this, as well as immediate actionable items that you can do to make this the best Christmas season ever. So stay tuned until the end because you don't want to miss out on this one. Now with that, let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered how many meaningful moments just slip through our fingers during the holiday season? Like, what if our greatest gift that you could give your family isn't wrapped under the tree, but is actually locked inside of you, waiting to be shared? And then here's something that might change your thought perspective a little bit. What if not utilizing your gifts this season costs more than you actually realize? And when I say gifts, I mean gifts and superpowers, because that's going to be really tied to the Giver method. So as we step into the holiday season, let me ask you this. What if Christmas you could choose to let the busyness just take over the season? What if you went through the motions without intentionally using those gifts and superpowers? All of this would lead towards a very unimpactful, uneventful, and kind of a letdown holiday season. Now, my name is Jake Talbert. I'm the founder and author of a book that is called The Giver Method that you can actually go get on Amazon. I'll have a link in the bio or in the description for you. And today we're diving into this thing I think is super important around this time of year, and it's that real cost of not showing up intentionally during the holidays, and how your unique gifts and superpowers could just transform the season if you choose to use them appropriately. Now before we dive in, if you are new here, please hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and I'm excited that I can share the book with you. So the Giver Method's been out for a couple weeks now. You can get it on Amazon. It's topping a bunch of the charts for bestsellers. And if you're ready to discover and develop your unique gifts and create a more meaningful impact in all of your relationships, then this book is going to be what shows you how to do that. And so, like I said, link will be in the description. If you are new here and you're like, Giver Method, that sounds cool, but I don't know what that is, there's a bunch of videos on the channel you could see that break it down for you, as well as you could get the book and it will really dive deep into it. But the quick overview is GIVER is an acronym designed to help people to discover and develop their gifts and superpowers so they can provide more value to those in their sphere of influence. And they can make every engagement, interaction, discussion as eager and effective and intentional as possible so that you can have those deeper, more meaningful relationship riches that come from it. You can step into who it is you're meant to be and utilize those gifts and superpowers in a way to make greater impact. And do it in a way that you are inviting the universe to pay you back because you're taking those gifts, superpowers, and delivering value to people without expectation. So that's the quick rundown of the Giver Method. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, or at thegivermethod.com if you want to learn more about some of the different details. I'll put the links in the description for those as well. So let's explore. We're going to explore what happens when we choose to use our gifts and superpowers during the holiday season, and more importantly, how to flip. We're going to talk about what if we don't use our gifts and superpowers this holiday season, and more importantly, how you can then flip the script and create a more meaningful impact instead. Because the truth is, the cost of inaction can be far greater than you realize. The holidays aren't just about the presents and the food and the decorations. It's that chance to create deep connections, lasting memories, and that just much more meaningful impact. So when you choose not to engage intentionally, we risk on missing out on all of that. So I want to go through each of these principles, talk about what they are, talk about some of the superpowers you could use to change it, and give you those action items that are really important to do. Grab a note, open a piece of paper so you can make the most out of those action items and start putting them into practice right away. So let's explore, let's dive through this. I want to walk you through what happens when we don't embrace the Giver Method and how you flip that script, to have the most impactful Christmas season, best Christmas season, holiday season yet. Okay? So our first one, what happens if we don't do it? You have surface level connections and missed opportunities. The holidays, they bring us together, but without intentionality, these gatherings can turn into a series of just shallow conversations. I don't know if you've ever felt that before, and where you feel like people just discuss the weather or general work or holiday plans, but you want them to have the deeper, more meaningful, exchanges, but those never happen. And over time, these surface level interactions create this emotional distance, leaving family members feeling like more of acquaintances than deeply connected loved ones. They're not feeling those relationship riches I mentioned. This disconnection, it compounds over the years. So if you haven't been intentional over the years, you're going to already be noticing the impact. Family members begin to expect less from gatherings. They reduce the time they spend together or the effort that they're willing to put into building those bonds. And the result just is missed opportunities to strengthen relationships, to understand each other, to create memories that could last a lifetime. So to combat this, to fight against it, start by creating spaces that encourage deeper connection. This could be breaking groups into smaller groups or more intimate conversations, designing activities where people could share maybe favorite memories. Maybe it's changing up the settings so that people feel safe and invited to be honest in their dialogue. How do we create that warm, quiet place that people can join? The model vulnerability by sharing your own story. Open up about meaningful challenges or lessons or moments from the past year. When you take that first step, others feel safe to do the same. And then listen deeply and ask thoughtful questions, to encourage more authentic sharing. And so some action items, simply, you need to create a list of maybe open-ended questions that you could ask that help start generating conversation. Hey, what's one thing we learned this year? What's been that big takeaway? What was that struggle? And what can we take from that? Set up the spaces that they lead towards more deeper conversations. How can we set up activities and things that get rid of technology, and plan activities like storytelling or naturally prompting sharing as a part of that without making it feel forced. And so you could start by one-on-one conversations that encourage that honesty and that depth. Listen and reflect back on what you hear, and then follow up after these gatherings. Call or message someone to deepen that connection over time. And some superpowers you could pull on to help with this are going to be some people are really good at story layout and telling stories and drawing up their stories to help others share authentically by they know how to ask questions to get people to share the right way. There's deep active listening to make people feel heard and valued. And then there's people who are really good at creating those connections and creating those environments where meaningful interactions can really flourish. Now the second one, if we're not intentional about this, is there's a chance for lost family history and legacy. And I talk a lot about legacy in a lot of my videos. And so, it's really important that this could be lost, because every family carries a rich history of stories and lessons and traditions. And without intentional effort, these treasures, they can fade away. Older generations take their wisdom and memories with them, and while younger members miss the chance to understand their roots. If we fail to preserve family history, we lose not just the stories, but the values, the culture, the identity. These opportunities that get missed, they rob families of a sense of continuity and belonging, leaving a void where connection and pride, could thrive as a family. A really good example of this is someone that I'm friends with, I go to church with, and for years he's been trying to get his mom's eggnog recipe. And she's had the same recipe for 60 years and worked on it to refine it and perfect it. I've tried this eggnog. It is absolutely amazing. And he's pushed for years, Mom, give me, I want this, and it just never happened. She finally gave it to him, and he went and he started making it for all sorts of people, giving it as a gift. But now, for her, she was like, well, I'm losing my sight and I don't know what else is going to happen. And so I want to make sure that I can hand off this recipe, this family thing that people love, to the next generation that they could then take on. That's just one simple example of what that looks like. And so how you could do it, how you could flip the script on this is you could create spaces for storytelling during gatherings. You could ask maybe elder family members to share their favorite memories, life lessons. Ask them questions like, what was Christmas like growing up for you? Or what's a life lesson you learned that you want us to remember? Document those moments, record them, write them down, keep a family scrapbook, involve younger family members in the process, encourage them to ask questions as well as try to pull out those other things, those traditions, those unique pieces of family legacy that could be there. And so you just plan out those sessions, prepare great questions, and, where necessary, maybe it does make sense for you to have a notebook to write down ideas that people say, or to have something to record what people are, what's being described, so we have that for future generations. And then, encourage younger family members to ask really good questions, to engage, and create a space where these can be preserved and accessed by anyone in the family moving forward. And so some superpowers, naturally, some people are really good at memory keeping. They're really good at preserving and documenting stories. There are people who are really good at bridging generational gaps, between ages. And there's some people that are just really good at question crafting and drawing out meaningful stories or reflections because of the questions that they can ask. Now, our third one, that something that could easily happen if we don't, if we aren't more intentional with how we show up, is it leaves unspoken appreciation and gratitude. Just things that don't get out there. Gratitude is one of the simplest yet most powerful ways to build relationships, but often it's unspoken. Family members never hear how much they mean to us or understand the impact they've had on our lives. Too many times I've seen where the only time that comes out is when you're at someone's funeral and you really see the true impact and the gratitude that their family members had for them. But at that point, they don't get to hear it from you. Over time, the silence, it can create emotional distance. It can lead towards missed opportunities for maybe healing or connection or to celebrate one another. Expressing gratitude can deepen bonds and create lasting memories. It's not just about saying thank you, but about acknowledging the unique qualities and contributions of each person. Now what you can do in order to combat this is incorporate intentional moments of gratitude into your gatherings. Create a gratitude circle. I have videos where I talked about creating gratitude and saying thank you and thank you cards that I just released recently, where each person shares one thing they appreciate about someone else in the circle. You could write those personalized notes of appreciation, hand them out during the gathering. Just be very specific with what your gratitude is. Don't make general statements. Highlight very particular moments or qualities that you value. Don't just, hey, I'm grateful for, so-and-so. Oh, hey, I'm grateful for the way that you supported me through this tough time this year, and it meant the world to me because XYZ. And so there'll be some preparation of prompts and such, and setting the tone, and having materials that people could write out if there's cards or pen, things like that they could do written expressions. And then just lead by example by sharing your own heartfelt gratitude first, and encourage others to participate without pressure and reflect on how the expressions of gratitude impact the group. And so look and lean in towards, whether it's yourself or someone in the group that has the superpowers of heartfelt expression, where they articulate those feelings really well, or someone who recognizes impact really well and they can identify and name very unique values that people bring to others. And then emotional intelligence, sharing feelings in a way that really strengthens those relationships. Now, the next one is, this can lead, if you don't embrace the giver method and being more intentional, it's going to lead towards emotional burnout and stress. The holiday season comes with, packed schedules, endless to-do lists, and very high expectations. And if we're not intentional about it, the busyness can just lead towards emotional burnout, leaving us all feeling drained and irritable and disconnected. And this stress can overshadow really the joy of the season, making gatherings feel like obligations rather than opportunities for that connection. When you're overwhelmed, you're not the only person who suffers. Your mood impacts the atmosphere of any gathering and the quality of the interactions with your loved ones. So burnout, it can make it hard to be present and engaged, and lead towards, once again, missed opportunities for that really authentic connection and to create those really joyful memories. And so what you can do to combat the emotional burnout is start by set clear boundaries around this time of year for your time and your energy. Choose quality over quantity. Focus on meaningful activities rather than just trying to do everything. And make sure that you prioritize the moments of connection with loved ones over perfection in the decorations or the meals or whatever that could look like. Incorporate moments of rest. You have to say, hey, these are when I'm going to rest and where I'm going to have self-care in my schedule. It could be doing a quiet walk in the morning. It could be meditating. It could be simply spending a few minutes reflecting on what matters most. These sort of pauses can help you to recharge and refocus. I am an early riser, and I every morning get into my office at 4 a.m. and I need that quiet time before people show up, that I can really get my mind right, work on things I want to work on, read, listen to music, whatever I need to do to get myself set for the day. You have to have those sort of rituals that you start to pepper in, and you have to hold true to them during the holidays, and make sure that you share boundaries like that with others and encourage them to do the same, so that there's a culture of mutual respect and care around that. And so some superpowers to think about here are things like energy management, where how you sustain your ability to give and pacing yourself in that way. Some people are really good at boundary setting to protect their time and energy while staying true to their priorities. And, some people, it's about that peace creation and, bringing that sense of calm to gatherings by staying really centered and present in the moment. Now, the next one that could happen if we're not really intentional is, once again, we talked a lot about this with family and with the older generation, but it creates this generational disconnection, and that gap between generations feels even wider during the holidays sometimes. Older family members feel disconnected from younger ones, and the younger generations might just see older relatives as out of touch. And without any sort of intentional effort to bridge these divides, valuable wisdom, traditions, relationships, all those sort of things we talked about can get lost. A disconnect, like this sort of a disconnect, it's going to rob families of a shared understanding and mutual respect. Elders miss out on a chance to pass on their stories, their insights, their recipes, like I mentioned, while younger members miss out on those opportunities to learn from those experiences. The result is family that feels divided rather than unified by its diversity. So once again, create those opportunities, find those ways for meaningful interaction between generations. Encourage older family members to share their stories of the past, favorite holiday traditions, life lessons, and invite younger members to teach or showcase something they're passionate about. It could just be you need to organize the right activities that naturally bring generations together. It could be cooking, it could be playing games, it could be working on collaborative projects. Focus on fostering mutual curiosity, respect, and highlighting what each generation can learn from each other. My grandparents, we would, anytime we're there for a get-together, whether it's the holidays or just general get-together, we always end up playing cards. And what's great is that it's my grandparents. I'll have my aunts and uncles there, my parents, my siblings, my children. And so you've got my children who are developing amazing relationships with their great-grandma and great-grandpa. They're getting that chance to make that more meaningful connection. So the next one is something that could, once again, these negative impacts of not being intentional is fading traditions. The traditions, family traditions, they're just more than rituals. They're the anchors that identify who we are and create that sense of belonging. Without intentional care, traditions can fade over time, especially as an older generation passes or young ones lose interest. This weakens the bonds of families and that really hold us together, leaving gatherings feeling maybe less meaningful. And so when traditions fade, families lose that sense of continuity and shared values. And the absence of these rituals make gatherings together feel disjointed, depriving families of the joy of connection that come from shared experiences. And so what you want to do is you want to revitalize old traditions by maybe rediscovering their meaning and adapting them to fit current family dynamics. Involve everyone in the process by asking what traditions they valued most and brainstorming the ways to keep them relevant and engaging. Maybe create new traditions that reflect the family's evolving interest and values, whether it's a gratitude ritual or community service project, shared creative activity. Just focus on building rituals that can foster connection and joy. Now, the next one is, we're looking to get relationship riches, but when we're not intentional, we create the relationship drift. And so without that intentional effort, these relationships just naturally drift apart. Busy schedules, misunderstandings, missed opportunities for connection just create that emotional distance. During the holidays, this sort of a drift becomes more apparent as interactions feel maybe strained or superficial. Relationships drift, this sort of an idea doesn't just happen with distant relatives. It can occur with your immediate family. Over time, small disconnects grow into larger divides, making it harder to bridge that sort of a gap. And the cost is the loss of closeness and missed potential of deeper and more meaningful bonds with those family members. And so what you could do is, by being proactive in nurturing relationships during the holidays, how do we create those one-on-one moments with family members for deeper connection? How do maybe take someone out for just one-on-one meal, or my brother and I take our dad golfing every year, so we can get out in that one-on-one. Find the quiet conversation over coffee or a walk around the block. It can really go a long way towards building those bonds, and address maybe small issues before they grow. If there's misunderstanding or tension, take the initiative to resolve it with kindness and empathy, and use holiday gatherings as an opportunity to reaffirm the commitment to the relationship that matters most. And of course, the last one I want to talk about is going to be, missed teaching moments. The holidays are prime opportunities to pass knowledge and skills and life lessons, but without intentional teaching moments, we miss out on learning that could be from one generation to the next. Maybe older family members lose that opportunity to share that legacy. Missed teaching moments creates gaps in family knowledge, whether it's, once again, I mentioned that cherished family recipe, or, some sort of a tradition or a valuable life lesson. Like, these opportunities not only weaken family bonds, but they deprive individuals of that chance to grow and learn. And so create that space. Where's that time that we can do the skill sharing during a holiday gathering? It could be teaching family, about a tradition you've done. It could be showing them that recipe. It could be crafting a new technique, or sharing financial advice or life advice. Like, these moments of interactive, where they're interactive, it's because they're involving others in that learning process. And so encourage both teaching and learning to flow both ways. I mean, younger family members could easily share skills and insights to their grandparents, how to use technology, or lead a creative project that there could be. And so what I want to do is I want to leave you with this. The cost of inaction isn't just about what you miss. It's about what others miss because of you. When you don't bring your gifts, your superpowers to the table, people around you just miss the best version of you. This Christmas season, holiday season, I'm going to challenge you, embrace the giver method. Share your gifts and superpowers, be very intentional, and create moments that matter. And by doing so, you're not just making the season brighter for those around you, you really are transforming that experience for you too, and changing how everyone will show up. And if you want to dive deeper into this, if you're like, this all sounds great and I want to go deeper, then once again, my book, The Giver Method, it is on Amazon. I'll have the link in the description. I promise you that the principles that are in here will have an amazing impact, not only on the holiday season and the new year, but for your life to come, to create a greater impact and deeper connections in every aspect of your life. You can get a copy for yourself, and hey, I recommend you grab more than one. Grab a copy for yourself, maybe one or two extra, and you gift it to someone else this holiday season, or you pay it forward, as a part of that. It is about sharing gifts, and that physical gift could play into that. So the link will be down in the description. Remember, cost of inaction isn't what we lose today. It's the connections, the memories, the impact that we never had a chance to exist because of that. And so until next time, I just invite you to keep growing and keep giving. And remember, your gifts and superpowers are needed this holiday season. And so let's make this holiday season one that we'll remember for always, and will be the best season for us. Like, we'll remember it for always, for all the right reasons. And so until next time, we will catch you in our next video. Have a great rest of your day.